They said Filipino kids couldn't speak English. How many times have we heard that before? It's one of those blanket statements that have been thrown around for decades, as though it's a universally accepted truth. It's a stereotype that has clouded the capabilities of Filipino children for years. But what if I told you that this stereotype was about to be shattered by one Filipino kid who not only defied the odds but went on to win an international award that stunned the entire world? Yes, you heard that right. One Filipino child who was once written off as not fluent enough or not good enough took the global stage and showed the world exactly what Filipino youth are capable of. This isn't just a feel-good story. This is about a young Filipino named Liza, who not only beat the expectations placed on her, but redefined what it means to speak English in today's world. Stick around as we dive deep into Liza's journey, how she defied everything we thought we knew about Filipino kids and English. Before we get into the specifics of Liza's incredible journey, let's take a step back and explore the stereotypes that have held Filipino children back for so long. You see, it's not just about language, it's about perception. For years, the world has believed that because English is a second language in the Philippines, children growing up there can't be as proficient as those from native English-speaking countries. And this, my friends, is where the story begins. How did this stereotype come to be in the first place? How did people come to believe that Filipino children couldn't speak English fluently or confidently? The Philippines has a rich history, but also a complicated one. Colonized by the Spanish for over 300 years, and then by the Americans in the early 20th century, it's no wonder that many Westerners assumed that English couldn't be spoken with the same mastery as those from countries where it was the primary language. After all, English is learned as a second language, not the first language for Filipinos, right? So how could they possibly compare to the English speakers in the United States or the UK? But wait, let's stop right there. Is it really that simple? Could it really be true that Filipino kids simply can't master English just because it's their second language? Or is there something deeper happening that the rest of the world has failed to see? The truth is, Filipino children have been learning English from an early age. It's part of their education, their textbooks, their daily lives. English is used in classrooms all across the country, from rural areas to urban centers, and is integrated into everything from math and science to social studies. In fact, the Philippine education system has long relied on English as the primary medium of instruction, even though Tagalog or other local dialects might be spoken at home. Still, critics point out that Filipino kids may not speak English as fluently as those who grow up in an English-speaking environment. The belief that they can't possibly match native speakers persists, especially in the face of those who think that the absence of full immersion in an English-speaking culture will always hold them back. But here's the twist. Despite all these obstacles, Filipino children continue to prove their naysayers wrong. They excel in academic competitions. They rise above language barriers, and they take home awards on global stages that others couldn't even dream of winning. Now, just imagine this. A young Filipino girl, Liza, steps into one of the most prestigious global competitions for English proficiency. The room is filled with students from around the world, many of them from countries where English is spoken as a first language. Liza, a 13-year-old from Manila, is up against the best of the best. People might have doubted her ability to compete. Could she really go toe-to-toe with native English speakers who've been speaking the language their whole lives? But let me tell you, Liza had more than just textbook English skills. She had a secret weapon, passion. In the months leading up to the competition, Liza dedicated herself to mastering English not only in terms of vocabulary, but also in expression and depth of thought. She wasn't simply memorizing words or learning grammar rules. No, Liza immersed herself in global literature, movies, and discussions that went beyond the superficial aspects of the language. She began thinking in English. She dreamed in English. She understood the true power of words, not just as a tool for communication, but as a bridge between people from different parts of the world. And so, when Liza took to the stage, she wasn't just presenting a rehearsed speech. She was telling a story that came from the heart. But what would happen when she faced the judges? Would they recognize the depth of her understanding, or would they dismiss her as just another non-native speaker? Before we see how Liza would fare, let's take a closer look at what makes this competition so intense, and what makes it stand out as one of the most important events for young language enthusiasts around the world. The International English Mastery Competition is not just a contest to see who can speak the best English. No, this is a high-stakes event that tests contestants on more than just vocabulary and grammar. It's about critical thinking, emotional intelligence, and the ability to articulate ideas in a clear and compelling manner. The competition isn't simply about saying the right words. It's about speaking with authority, passion, and authenticity. The judges are looking for depth and the ability to connect with an audience, not just technical proficiency. This is where most competitors falter. The pressure is high and many contestants freeze, unable to engage their audience or communicate their ideas with the clarity and emotion needed to win. But Liza, with her natural poise, did something different. She didn't just recite her speech, she breathed life into it. She spoke with the confidence and assurance of someone who had something important to say, not just to win a competition, but to make a statement about Filipino children and their potential. Her performance wasn't just about proving herself. It was about showing the world that Filipino kids could do more than just speak English. They could speak through it. But would it be enough? Could her raw emotion, combined with her exceptional fluency, be the key to taking home the coveted first prize? Stay tuned, because what happens next will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the power of language. The moment Liza stepped onto the stage, the room seemed to hold its breath. The judges, seasoned professionals who had seen hundreds of young contestants perform, exchanged skeptical glances. After all, how could a young Filipino girl from Manila possibly compare to the pool of native English speakers, many of whom had years of immersion in English-speaking environments? Liza's competition was fierce. Contestants from the United States, Canada, and the UK were known for their flawless language skills, years of practice, and natural fluency. They were expected to take the top spots, with little room for surprises. But Liza wasn't intimidated. She had a story to tell, one that came from deep within her heart. She began her speech, not with a generic greeting or the usual lines you'd expect from a contestant, but with a personal story about her upbringing in Manila. She spoke of her family, her dreams, and the challenges she faced growing up in a world where, despite the official use of English, not everyone had equal access to education. She didn't just talk about the mechanics of language, she talked about the impact of language on people's lives, how it could unite or divide, elevate or belittle. Her words were simple, but their power was undeniable. What truly set her apart, however, was the way she conveyed her message. She wasn't just speaking to the judges. She was speaking with them, engaging with them on a level that few others could. It wasn't about perfect grammar or a flawless accent. It was about the story she was telling. And that story, delivered in perfect English, captivated the judges in ways they hadn't anticipated. But would it be enough to convince the judges, who had seen hundreds of brilliant speakers before? Would they be able to look beyond the stereotype and see the true potential in this young Filipino girl? As the final moments of her speech approached, Liza knew this was her moment. This wasn't just about winning a trophy. This was about changing perceptions, breaking barriers, and proving to the world that Filipino kids were capable of so much more than they had ever been given credit for. But with the competition as fierce as it was, would Liza's emotional and powerful delivery be enough to secure her victory? The judges remained silent, their expressions unreadable. The tension in the room was palpable. What happened next would either change Liza's life forever or reinforce the stereotype that Filipino kids could never be on equal footing with native English speakers. Stay with us, because this moment is about to redefine everything you thought you knew about language, competition, and the Filipino youth. The room was dead silent as the judges deliberated, their eyes fixed on the scorecards in front of them. It felt as though time had come to a standstill. Contestants who had come from all over the world, some of them speaking perfect English with flawless accents, anxiously awaited the results. But no one could have predicted what was about to happen next. After what felt like an eternity, the announcer's voice finally broke through the tension. And the winner of the 2024 International English Mastery Competition is Liza from the Philippines. For a split second, no one moved. Then, the room erupted in applause. Liza, with wide eyes and a mixture of shock and joy on her face, stepped forward to accept her award. She had done it. Not only had she beaten out competitors from English-speaking countries, but she had completely redefined what it meant to be fluent in English. The judges, who had initially been skeptical of a Filipino contestant's chances, were the first to congratulate her. One of them, a seasoned educator from the United States, shook her hand and said, "Liza, you've proven that fluency in a language is about more than just grammar and vocabulary. It's about connection. You've shown us the power of language in a way that none of us saw coming." But here's the real question. What does this victory mean for the future of Filipino children? Is Liza's win a one-off event, or is it the beginning of something much bigger, a movement that could change the way the world sees the Philippines and its youth? Liza's victory was about more than just personal achievement. It was about breaking down barriers, changing perceptions, and showing the world that Filipino children had the power to compete, thrive, and succeed. This moment was just the beginning. What happens next? How many more Lizas are out there waiting for their chance to prove themselves? And will the world finally start to recognize the untapped potential within Filipino youth? Stay tuned, because this is only the beginning of a much bigger story. And if you've been inspired by Liza's journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. The future is bright for Filipino kids, and you won't want to miss the incredible stories still to come.